Hi there, I'm Himanshu Arora, and you must be thinking of getting good bands in IELTS Speaking. And most of you may have tried a lot, but even I have seen some students trying for IELTS for 2 times, 3 times, and they don't get good bands. And this happens because they neglect some of the points which are there for them for their speaking, and they can try to get more bands if they really work hard. So in this video, I'm going to discuss some of the points which are really pivotal for everybody to get good bands in IELTS speaking. First of all, you must think that in IELTS speaking, fluency is more important than accuracy. Accuracy is also important, but you do not need to worry about it if sometimes you're not accurate while speaking, and some of the answers which you speak may not be grammatically correct or may not be correct. So you do not need to worry about it. The most important part is fluency. So you should be fluent and you should practice in that regard, that you should not have any problem in speaking fluently before a person. So if you are going to crack IELTS speaking, so this tip is the most important tip, which you all should be careful. That sometimes if you make mistakes, everybody in the world makes mistakes. It is not like that. Especially for non-native speakers, it generally happens. So we need to work hard to be fluent. Of course, we need to take care of accuracy as well. We need to take care of our grammatical errors as well. That we should not make mistakes. We should not tend to commit mistakes. But you should be careful that you should be more fluent while speaking in English. And you can practice in this way. And I always say to everybody that if you are going for IELTS speaking, first of all, you should make yourselves fluent or proficient in the language. Try to speak with people. Be natural. Be a natural speaker. You do not need to worry about it, because sometimes what people do, they take a lot of stress on their head for IELTS speaking, and they create a lot of mistakes. So you do not need to worry about it. Just be a natural speaker. Go there, and definitely you are going to get good bands in IELTS speaking. There are 4 parameters in mind which should be taken care of. First is fluency, which is of course important. Second is grammar. See, if 1 or 2 grammatical errors you make, nobody is going to look at it. And suppose somebody looks at it, so you do not need to worry about it. You should just go on and keep on speaking. But you should improve your grammar, certainly, especially the level of grammar which is required in IELTS exam. I always say to everybody that whenever you speak to people, whenever you talk to people, just take care of your English, take care of your sentences, that you should not make mistakes. Wherever you have doubts, you feel that you are making mistakes, write those sentences into your notebook and ask any expert. That person is going to help you with this. But yes, grammar is also important. But if you make mistakes, you do not need to worry about it. Third thing is vocabulary. Learning vocabulary does not mean that you have to learn some heavy words or some words which are never used. You should try to use uncommonly used words in place of commonly used words. Suppose in place of good, you can use fantabulous or impeccable or stupendous, or in place of tasty, you can even use savory, toothsome, or scrumptious. So there are thousands of words like this. Like if I'm talking to anybody and if I say to anybody that I'm surprised, so in place of saying I'm surprised, I can even say I'm astonished. So these words will be more helpful to beautify your language. So you do not need to worry about it, but yes, vocabulary plays a vital role in this case. So you should work on your vocabulary, especially try to practice with uncommonly used words in place of commonly used words. So I think that will be an easy game for you, and you will have a better point regarding this. Pronunciation does matter. See, IELTS is for British pronunciation. So you should be careful more of British pronunciation. But if it is American, you do not need to worry about it. But in place of American or British, you cannot speak anything, because if you speak Scottish or Canadian or some other pronunciation, they may not like it. So please be careful that you should take care of your pronunciation. Like there is a word in English, schedule. In British English, it is always spoken schedule, but in American English, we speak schedule. But sometimes in the name of American English, people speak schedule, which is absolutely wrong. So you have to be careful about it that you should speak either American or British, but not accept that. And try to speak more of British. That will be always better. But you should be always careful about your pronunciation. People do not take care of their pronunciation while speaking, by practicing, while starting their language. But it plays a vital role and you have to be more careful about it. So there are four parameters which you should keep in your mind. First is vocabulary, fluency, grammar, and pronunciation. So if you take care of these things, that's sufficient. I mean, you should not go beyond this. You should not be concerned, accept these things more. When you go to IELTS center for your speaking test, be formal. Even you should be formally well dressed. And when you enter there, you need to be careful that you cannot be so casual in your exam. You are going for your exam, you're going for an interview. So you should be more formal when you appear there. While speaking, you should be also careful about your words. There are uh, things which you should notice. For instance, people say, can I speak? Could I speak? Or may I speak? Now, may I speak is more of formal. Could I is semi formal. And can I is informal. So, whenever you come across such things, you should be careful that you should speak more of formal language. So I hope you must have understood that what is formal and what is informal, and you should be careful about this, of course. Be polite while talking to people. See, you cannot be impolite at all. Sometimes we get irritated or frustrated. Sometimes our number comes late, and we do not have that much of patience. So we are already irritated the moment we enter the room, and then they ask you such questions which you are not able to answer. Then you should not be impolite, or you should not get irritated or frustrated. You should be polite, keep your mind cool while answering any question, every question, and you should not have any problem in answering those questions. You can practice also like this while speaking or while taking care of your IELTS speaking exam. But this is an important thing even in our personality as well. That you have to be polite every time. Sometimes you can be impolite. I agree. It doesn't matter. But if it happens sometimes, then it's okay. But if it happens regularly, then it will create a big problem for you in the future as well. See, when somebody asks you questions, try to give complete answers. Try not to stop in between. They should not be incomplete at all. I mean, if they ask you a question, please discuss some building in your area, or discuss any road or apartment or anything. So you should try to be complete with your answers, and try to elaborate as well. I mean, try to speak every answer at least in 3 to 4 lines. At least in 3 to 4 lines. You can even make it more. Sometimes they finish their IELTS exam in 8 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes. So it all depends on you that how long you speak, and the more you speak, the better marks or better bands you get there. So try to elaborate more, try to speak more, but it should not be irrelevant. You have to be careful about it. I mean, elaborating answers does not mean that you are being irrelevant with your answers. So you should be focused towards the answers. You should not go out of the box. Suppose even while answering any question, you cough or sneeze. So you should say sorry and then you should go on. You should not worry about it that you have coughed or you have sneezed. So it happens with everybody. You do not need to worry about it. It's very natural. So as I have been saying to you since starting, that you have to be very natural while speaking. Very natural, because they love natural speaking. And that's what they want to check. So be natural while speaking with people. Even if you cough, it doesn't matter. It happens with everybody. So you do not need to be over concerned towards it. See, when you talk about your answer. Of course, grammar plays a vital role, as I have said to you. So you should be correct with your answers. You should be correct with your answers, of course, and you should take care of your grammar as well. So use the correct grammar in your answer. Sometimes so many people teach that it doesn't matter you speak correct grammar or incorrect grammar. It does matter. But if you make one or two mistakes, as I said in starting, please listen to me very carefully. Even if you make one or two mistakes in your speaking and you realize it, so sometimes what happens? You may have realized, but the listener may not have realized. The examiner may not have realized. So you do not need to worry about it. Even sometimes, even if you make mistakes, you can say, "May I beg your pardon?" And then you can correct your mistake and then you can go on. There is no problem at all. But be confident while answering such questions, and so, especially in the case of making mistakes or errors. So that you can take care. Now, how to practice IELTS speaking? See, now there is a facility available in everybody's mobile that you should record your voice before you appear in the exam. You go for ITP or you go for British Council or PT or for any exam. So you should try to record your voice as many as times you can and listen to your voice. Listen to your voice. Feel that what mistakes you have committed. You can even ask any expert for the help. You can send that recording to the expert and ask that expert or the trainer to help you with the recording. If any mistake is found or anything is to be improved, so that person is certainly going to help you with this. But recording is very important. Some people do not give it a damn. They feel that if they even do not record their voice, they just practice like this on their own, then they don't realize that where they stand, where they make mistakes. So it's better to record your voice, because when you record your voice, you feel that where you make mistakes in your pitch, tone, flow, speed, volume, accent, pronunciation, grammar, fluency, accuracy. So it's better to record your voice to check yourself, to check or judge yourself that where you stand. Even try to give bands to yourself. Out of 9 bands, how many bands you are going to get? So it's better to check your voice. See, and one more thing you should remember, there are no right or wrong answers while speaking in IELTS. Sometimes even people ask me that if I give wrong answers, I mean wrong answers in the sense the ideas are wrong, the opinions are wrong. So it doesn't matter, but because mostly they do not judge you for this, they judge your English. They only and only judge your English. But it does not mean that you are deviating your topic from that topic to another topic. That you should be careful about it. But yes, of course, even if you give sometimes wrong answers, it doesn't matter. You should be fluent, as I said to you. Fluency is more important. You should show that you're confident while answering such questions. Assessment is always done on fluency and accuracy. Assessment is always done on fluency and accuracy. So you do not need to worry about your right and wrong answers. So you can speak as you want, as you wish to, so there'll be no problem at all. And as you know, sometimes what people do, they memorize their answers. So do not memorize or cram up your answers. Just speak naturally. They can ask you any question. Be prepared for any question in the world. Random questions are going to be there before you. So you do not need to memorize any question, because even if you memorize, suppose the examiner asks you the same question, then that person will realize that you have done some ratification, you have crammed up the answer, and then you were speaking before that person. So you should try to be careful about it, that try to speak all answers. Be ready for any question. Be ready for any question, because they are not going to ask you very technical questions. They can ask you any question and you have to elaborate and speak. Be fluent with that. Speak more so that they understand, realize that you know English, because they're going to check your English. I mean, they're mainly concerned with your English language. That's it. They're not concerned with your answers there. They're more concerned with your English language. So you should be careful in that regard. That's it. Of course, you should try to avoid fillers or slangs, especially in IELTS English, because they do not admire such speakers who use slangs a lot or fillers a lot. Like, I mean, I may speak such words here. That doesn't matter. But when you go for IELTS speaking test, you should be careful about it. Try to avoid using slangs. So when you even practice your IELTS speaking, so just notice that how many times you are using slang. What are slangs? Slangs are such words which are used in local dialects. They may not be English words, but they're used in local dialects. That's why they're spoken even in the English language. So you should be careful about those slang words or slang phrases, and especially your fillers. So do not use fillers and slangs while speaking in English, especially in IELTS exam or any exam. I mean, you are appearing. Elaborate your answers. That is the key. That is the key. Suppose they ask you, what's your name? And I say, I'm Himanshu Arora. And see, now when they ask you a question, what's your name? The answer is going to be a one line, I'm Himanshu Arora. But I should not at least say Himanshu Arora. I should not at least say Himanshu Arora. I am Himanshu Arora. I am Himanshu Arora. So I'm giving complete answer. And if they ask you any question, try to elaborate your answers. For example, they ask you that please discuss any good thing about your family. And you tell the good thing about your family, but that is in one line. That may not impress the listener. So try to elaborate that line into at least 3 to 4 lines. At least into 3 to 4 lines, and be confident about it. Be confident about it. So you do not need to worry about it, but you need to learn how to elaborate the things. That's why I always ask my students that initially, when you are practicing your IELTS speaking, take some words and try to learn how to elaborate the things. Like you have taken a pen, you're talking about a bottle. So speak more and more as long as you can speak about a bottle. Whatever comes to your mind, whether you're using good vocabulary initially, whether you're using good vocabulary, you're using correct English or not, but try to learn how to elaborate more. Because elaboration is the key to success there. So you should learn how to elaborate your answers while appearing into an IELTS speaking test. Don't speak in a monotone. I mean, take care of your voice culture, voice modulation. What is voice modulation? There are 7 aspects which you should be careful about. In that, you have to be careful about your pace. I mean, when you speak regularly, you should not have any problem speaking regularly. Your throat should not get tired or exhausted while speaking. Tone, it should be very formal tone. It should not be over friendly while talking to the person. You have to be very careful about your pitch. I mean, because pitches of 2 types. One is high pitch or one is low pitch, and you should understand the difference between high pitch and low pitch. I have already made a separate video on voice modulation, so you should listen to that video. You will not have any problem in understanding voice modulation, but be careful about your pitch. Then volume. See, it should be clearly audible while speaking to the person. It should be clearly audible, because when you speak, sometimes people speak in such low volume that people are not able to catch up what they're speaking, and sometimes they use high volume which may irritate them. So you should control over your volume. Then flow. While writing, we are very careful about our punctuation marks, where to use comma, full stop, exclamation mark, or inverted commas. While speaking also, we have to take care of our pauses. Where to give pause, where not to give the pause. So you should, of course, be careful about your flow. And then accent. It should be English accent. You cannot use any other accent. Please be careful about it. People might not like it while speaking in general public, especially in India, but we should be careful about the accent, because if you speak good pronunciation, good accent, obviously you are going to get better points into the exam. So you have to be careful about your voice modulation. It is an utmost thing while speaking in English, especially in IELTS exam, so that you can, achieve your goal, what you actually wanted to achieve. Don't be nervous. See, it's a natural thing. Everybody in the world gets nervous. So even if you feel that I may get nervous or I'm getting nervous, then it's better that you should know your qualities. I always tell people that if you feel that you might get nervous or you may feel butterflies in your stomach while answering the questions, so before that, you try to learn your own qualities, good qualities, your virtues. So, because when a person knows their qualities, does not tend to get nervous before anybody in the world. So, you should know your good qualities, because you may not be very good at speaking, but you may have other qualities as well. So, confidence is, of course, pivotal, it plays a vital role. So, be confident there. Ask the questions again if you need to. Suppose you don't understand the question. So, unnecessarily do not answer the question. There's nothing wrong that if you're not able to understand the question what examiner has asked, you can ask that person politely, would you mind coming again? Would you please come again? Would you mind if you come again? So that person is not going to mind it. But yes, land your ears to the questions properly. Because if it happens once or twice, then it is okay. There is no problem. There is no problem. But if it happens again and again, so that person may realize that you are not paying heed to the questions. So you should be, of course, careful about it. But if it happens once or twice, so you do not need to worry about it. It happens with everybody. It's a common thing. It's not a bad thing. It happens with everybody in the world. So you should be careful that if you do not understand the question, you should ask the question again. And when you go for IELTS exam, please try to take care of small things. I mean, when you give something to somebody, you should say, here you are. When you enter, may I come in? May I have a seat? Or if that person gives you something, thank you very much. Somebody coughs and says sorry, you should say never mind. While going, you should say nice meeting you, same here. So these things also do matter. These things also do matter. They are apart from your questions, but they are noticed. So you should be careful about these sentences as well. So I have spoken, it's okay. There is no problem at all. When you go for IELTS exam, try to avoid it. In general speaking, you can do that. That's not a problem, because flirts are liked. There is no problem at all. But in exams, they're avoided. If it happens once or twice, it's okay. But if it isn't happening again and again, or they're overdone, then it may create the problems. It may create the problems. Suppose you have made a mistake, and that person also has realized, and you have also understood that you have made a mistake. Just keep your mind cool. You do not need to worry about it. You should continue. And if you know the answer, or if you know the correct thing, then you can correct yourself. You can say, may I beg your pardon? There is nothing wrong in that. Everybody tends to make or commit mistakes. So you do not need to take tension of it, because it happens with everybody. It's all about confidence. It's a confidence game. Actually, it's a confidence game. So they are going to check your confidence along with your English. So you just be confident over there. Because I have noticed so many times, even a person who's not that good at English gets good band. And how it happens? Because that person was fluent in the exam, that person was more confident. So he got more bands than the person who was not confident or who was nervous. So try to take care of yourself. Even for eradicating your nervousness, you can take water before you appear in the exam. Check your face. You can even keep a face wash before you enter the room. You should wash your face. There is no problem at all. I mean, be comfortable as you feel comfortable, and try to wear those clothes in which you feel more comfortable, because you are not to impress anybody with your clothes. I mean, of course, the clothes should be formal. The clothes should be formal, but you should equally feel comfortable. So that you should be careful about it. When you speak there, you should not be too fast. You should be clear. Sometimes when people go for IELTS exam, they think that if I speak in English very fast or very quickly, then I might get better bands. I'm sorry, somewhere you're mistaken. Because if you speak too fast and that person is not able to listen to you clearly, and if that person asks you that please come again, then there are chances that you may lose the points. So be careful about it, that you should not be too fast or too quick. You should be quick, you should be fast, you should be fluent. But fluency does not mean being fast. You should know this thing. Fluency does not mean being fast. Fluency means that you should not get stranded or stuck while speaking. That's more important. You should always reach the center early. Suppose they have given you to time 11 o'clock, reach there, and the reporting time is 10 o'clock. So you should reach the center at 9 o'clock. Because sometimes even place gives you uncomfort zone, because you are not used to the place. You're going to the place for the first time. You see a lot of speakers there and you are not used to it at all. So sometimes there are more chances to get nervous. So when you reach early, you feel comfortable, you keep your mind cool, try to learn some vocabulary, even try to check the vocabulary which you may have written. Try to read out your qualities. As I've said to you, if you get nervous, or if you tend to get nervous there, sorry, excuse me, and then you should say never mind. Please make it a habit. If that person says sorry, you should say never mind. So just reach the place early, a little early, so that you can keep yourself cool there before you enter the room. And maintain the eye contact with the examiner. Maintain the eye contact with the examiner, because maintaining an eye contact is very important. Suppose generally there is one examiner, suppose there are two examiners, so you should keep rotating your eyes also while talking to the examiner. That's also very important. Don't digress or deviate your point from the topic. Or as I have said to you, that you should not be irrelevant while answering any question. You should try to be focused towards the answer. And even if you speak wrong answer, it doesn't matter, because that person is not going to check. Suppose somebody asks you that please discuss some famous building in your area or in your city, and you talk about any building. So you do not need to worry about that, what building is talking is what building you're talking about, because that person is not going to check that what building you talked about. Please understand, that may be a fake building. If you're not able to think of the building all of a sudden or at the right moment, you do not need to worry about it. You should just speak up whatever comes to your mind. Even if it is fake, that doesn't matter. Even if it is fake, that doesn't matter, because they're checking your grammar, your fluency, your accuracy. So you do not need to worry about your answers there. And the ultimate point, keep a smile while answering the questions. Because when you keep a smile, even if you're getting nervous, that person does not realize that you're getting nervous. And if you do not keep a smile on your face, that person may get to know that you are somewhere nervous. So then they ask you a lot of questions, and then they put a lot of cross questioning to you. So you should be careful about these points. I hope you must have understood. These all points are really important. I'm going to tell you these points again, one by one. Just listen to me carefully and take care of these points in a proper way. As I've said, fluency is more important than accuracy, so you should be careful about it. 4 parameters should be there in your mind: fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. You should be formal. You should be polite while answering your questions. Give complete answers and elaborate your answers. Use the correct grammar in your answers. Suppose if you're not able to speak correct grammar, so you do not need to worry about it. Just go on, and 1 or 2 mistakes are not going to create a big problem for you. Practice with your partner before you appear in the exam. You should not be overconfident sometimes, and that also gets you less bands. So it's better that you should practice with your partner before you go there. Record your voice, record your test, so that you can even understand where you make mistakes and where you stand in the English language. There are no right and wrong answers in speaking test. Assessment is done on fluency and accuracy. So you do not need to worry about it. Don't memorize any answer because it is not going to matter. They have a lot of questions to ask. And if even if they ask the same question, what you have practiced, and if you speak in the same tone, they may realize that you have crammed up the answer. Avoid using fillers or slangs. Elaborate your answers more and more. Do not speak answer in one line or two lines. And don't speak in a monotone. Take care of your voice culture and voice modulation, which I have discussed in the video. And I have already made a separate video on voice modulation. You should listen to it, and you should, of course, work on your voice. Don't be nervous because confidence is the key. So you should be confident. You should know your qualities. Ask the question again. If you do not understand the question, you do not need to take tension of it. Made a mistake, don't panic. It happens with everybody. Just go on. Or you can even correct yourself if you realize that you have made a mistake. Speak clearly, but not too fast. It should be clearly understood what you speak. Reach the center early. Maintain the eye contact with the examiner. Maintain the eye contact with the examiner. Keep a smile. And don't digress or deviate from your point when you answer any question. So I hope these tips are going to work for you and you are going to get good banks. Practice more and more. It has got no other alternate. Hard work always pays you, and definitely you are going to get success. Best of yourself. Thank you so much.